This is to show how you're gonna go for cementing of crowns on top of a metal frame, or in this case, a PEEK frame, or even in a zirconia frame. So step number one, I have to check the spacing. I have to check by pairs. By pairs meaning by two neighbors together, and you have to be sure that there is no interference. How can I double check it? By making like this. So it looks okay. Then I go for the other side. See, you can see here this is not yet good. See, if you can see, when I push this, it kicks this out. So meaning that it's not adapted well. It will never be able to be cemented well without being shifted. Then I remove this. I will put this a bit here, but it's less. It's not visible, but I can feel it with my finger. Then it's done on pairs again. This is good. And also this is good. And this is good. Actually, the most important one, which is the anterior one, in which we missed. You make like this, you make like this, there is no problem. Then I'll go for the other side, starting again with the central, then put the lateral. See if there is moving, it's not yet professionally cleaned. Again, I'll put here. This is okay. So I have small twitches to add. So after finalizing and finishing the proper contact of each and every tooth, I will start now doing the first step of a preparation for cementation. So the idea for preparation is to activate both surfaces of the either framework and of the tooth surface to have a rough surface. So number one, this should be sandblasted, and this should be etched and sandblasted. So this is then we're gonna show you another video how we do zircos etching for zirconia, and then the sandblasting. By the way, I don't put all together in one session. The most important area I make it alone, which is the anterior, which is canine to canine. Then posterior later. To avoid cement from going inside and spoiling my screw ends, I close it by a suitable piece of Teflon, and be sure that it is not getting outside the framework. Okay, I was just informed that this is not sandblasted, so we're gonna for sandblasting now. Now this sandblast, this framework came from sandblast, and even it spoiled this shouldn't be put now, by the way, it should be put later. So now we are gonna start the case of the stage of activation. I have to activate this and activate that. So I have two activators. This is hydrofluoric acid. The hydrofluoric acid, this is very dangerous, by the way. So please be very cautious in using it. And this is phosphoric acid. This is hydrofluoric acid, and this is phosphoric acid. Phosphoric acid will go for the cleaning to remove the dusts and the fingerprints or any organic material. Then leave it for 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute. Then I will do the same. By the way, the hydrofluoric acid does not etch the zirconia. We etch the zirconia with a different technique, but this is only for professional cleaning. If any dirt, if any organic materials. Of course, we mentioned the main activation of the zirconia is putting in Zircos for 30 to 45 minutes. For safety, it should be a PPE, gloves, gown, and a mask at least. So I will start with washing. Try to be splashed as possible. Number one with water, then slowly with drying. One of the very good signs that you are doing a good etching, you will see that the surface is chalky. I don't know if the camera can read this. Of course, be sure that it's fully dried. Here the same. Be very cautious. it's safe to change gloves after this aggressive uses of acids. So now I assume that both layers are activated. Here is activated by sandblasting, then acid. Here zircus is difficult in bonding, so the zirconia will go for zircus, sandblasting, then acid. Then we'll go for a stage called primer. This is the L-pop, which is, we call it the primer. I activate it by pushing like this, and I will start paint. The 6 anterior, please don't go on one step, anterior first, and even there is sequence in the anterior. This might be too liquidy, so I spread it by a dry one. The idea is to make it look wet, but not super wet. You can discover that the choky thing is sucking my prime. Then we will dry it. This is a good idea to make an air barrier. If you are not controlling yourself, you're going to discover that this will go away. Be sure that you are working with air only. Don't be confused. So you have to dry. This primer is dissolved in acetone. Acetone that we use it to remove nails. So you have to be sure that all acetones are removed. And it's not looking wet. It's not looking wet. Of course, it is looking painted, but not wet. Then, when I was working, I discovered that this went away, so I put a new one. Then I'll go for activation. It's not yet active. This layer I have to active by the blue laser or the blue light. As you can see, there is measures of 5 seconds, so each one will go for 20 seconds. This is a very complex or very technique-sensitive operation, and it should be good enough for 10 to 15 years. It's almost welding. So this is average 2 minutes in the activation of the primer. Primer is very important to catch the bond. And the primer should be active on an active tooth. So it's like, that's why it's complex. Okay, so I'll go for second layer. You can use this as a painter, as an applicator, and someone will use it. Can you help me, Anna Bolsi? Use it as applicator. Doing application here, take care, we only activate once. The second layer, we just dry it. We don't do laser on it. So while doing this, I'll do the same exact, it's the same bond, the same material for the zircon. Then the same, but there is a trick. Don't spray air here. Then dryness. Yes, just dry it. This is the second layer. This is the first layer. Second layer, I only dry. Nice. I only dry, but please don't forget, don't activate. It should be activated when I mix them together. The second layer, I don't activate. I dry, I don't activate. Same for both. So I will go for the second layer, and again the same technology. The second layer, it's only adding and drying. Even not evaporating the acetone will make the bonding 80% weaker. See, start to look wet. after being frosted or very dry. Just be sure that second layer is dried. If you have hesitated, you have to test. It's only air. Water will spoil everything. Nice. I know it's being shown only in the microscopic level, but it is shiny and it's wet, but not that wet. There is a difference between wet with acetone and wet without after the evaporation of the acetone. So this is the finale. If you're a little bit confused, we go pair by pair. It's time now to use, usually we use the white opaque, okay? And it's better to use the one with the micro tip. This is the regular tip, this is micro tip. So it's preferable for a lab to work with a micro tip one. Then as I told you, I will start couple by couple. Be sure that your finger, your gloves is not flabby, so you can control as possible. Then 20%, you have to bleed it. Bleed it means make it like this, and it's 20% to half. Don't overfill it. Like this, 20%. 20% means 1/5 or 1/3. Then the edges. Then one small top here, one small top here. Too much is too bad. Too few is too bad. Then as I told you, you make 1, 2 together. Never go with one alone. And by using this to slowly spread the excess. See, after all adjustment, you feel that there was a trick, there was something wrong. That's why you have to be super duper accurate. Please don't try to clean it. Then the last one. One-third tip, 1 or 2 drop, then bingo. Then be sure that you are not intruding these areas. One of the good things to remove the excess is to use a. So if everything is prepared well, you will have a nice results. And even you can do this, you are in the correct area in which, yes. One of the good signs, if a good amount of cement, it's barely, there should be white, but barely appearing. Okay? But believe me, too much is too messy. Too less is a little bit critical, but I am perfectly, of course this needs some practice to reach this. Then, without touching, you start giving 5 seconds for each one. 5 seconds, which means 1 stick. Then I will leave it for 1 or 2 minutes. Leave it to start the activation. then I will repeat this again here.